Good morning, friends. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Ashley if you're new here, and in this video I wanted to do sort of like a day in the life. I wanted to share our new homeschooling schedule. I have a kindergartner, a 3-year-old, and a 1-year-old, and it has taken us forever to find a schedule that works for us, and so I'm really thankful that we figured it out, and so I just thought it would be fun to share it with you guys. So I thought I would catch you up to speed where we're at in the morning already, because I haven't been filming the first little part of the morning. So I woke up at 6 o'clock and read my Bible, made coffee, that sort of thing, and then my oldest woke up around 7, and so around that time is when I got up and I started making breakfast and just straightening up from like the night before. There was like some clothes out and like just some dishes that needed to be put away, that sort of thing. And then we sat down for breakfast around 8 o'clock, and this is normally when I will do our Bible story. I'll show you the Bible that we're going through right now. So our school day kind of is split into 3 different parts at this point. This is the Bible that we're going through. This is the Bible that is included in the Sunlight Tea program. I don't know if you saw my other video, but I was going to go through the Bible recap with the kids because that's what my husband and I are doing this year. And it was just too much for their ages, and so I switched back to reading that Bible. I just really read like 1 or 2 stories in the morning, and then there's a little question at the end. And then the next thing that we do is I actually finally bought the Gather Round at the Pond unit. So this week is the first week that we added that in after the Bible, but for a while that's the only thing we were doing, was we were just reading a Bible story. And then I throw in now, the way that Gather Round works is that it has this from the teacher's guide, where there's like a little lesson about like a paragraph like that long at the top there. And so I'll read that while they're eating. And then there's a Bible connection, and it goes through the Psalms. Don't mind my 1-year-old. So it goes through the Psalms, and so we have been reading Psalm 1 this week, and so you just read the Psalm every day, and then there's a little paragraph that kind of teaches them something about it, and it kind of connects it to at the pond. So those are actually my favorite. I forgot how much I liked them because we did Gather Round last year, and they, just the way she words it, it's just like, it's so impactful but short and sweet, and so we're really enjoying that. Today we did read our Bible story during breakfast, but then I got interrupted because my daughter had woken up, and so we still have to read the Bible part of it, so I will show you that in a little bit. So something else that happens almost every single day, is very important for it to happen for the rest of our school day to go well, is that the boys go outside and play. That's what they're doing right now. They finished their breakfast, and then, like I said, we read the story, and then we did a little part of the Gather Round unit, and then I was getting my daughter, and so normally we would get dressed and brush our teeth after, but I had a little bit of time before breakfast to do that, so they're already dressed, and so they get really hyper after breakfast, and they have a lot of energy, and they start being really silly, and so I'm like, okay, it's time to go outside. That's when I know it's time for them to go outside. Anytime they get into that like hyper crazy mood, I'm like, okay, you need to get your energy out, and so they're outside. Sometimes they only stay out for 10 minutes. I think they've been out there for about 10 or 15 minutes already, so it really just depends on the day. I think it's only like 35 degrees or something out there, so like I said, they don't usually stay out very long, but honestly that's all they need. It's enough to get their energy out, and then they come back in and they're able to focus again. So I am still in the process of putting these books together. I printed out the cover, and I printed out the first student workbook. There's usually 2 in each lesson. I have to just put the holes in it and then spiral bound it and print out the back. But I just wanted to show you, hopefully you can hear me over my daughter. Oh my gosh. So there's 4 worksheets that come with each day's lesson, and so because he's doing the Good and the Beautiful as well, I'm not having him do every single worksheet. I'm kind of letting him pick and choose. There's certain ones that I want him to do. Like for example, like he loves coloring, so this one was easy. He just colored that while we read the story. And then this one I wanted him to do because it was a good practice for reading these words. but this one he didn't want to do because there was another cutting exercise this day, and so I didn't make him do it. I just told him that this word is 0, and so I'm going to try to help him remember the words spelled out. This one was interesting. He liked this one, learning about landmarks. And then I had him do the word search here so that he could practice saying the words, but they're supposed to trace the words as well. And so I gave him the option of tracing these words or doing one of his handwriting worksheets, and he chose to do the handwriting worksheet, so he didn't trace these. And then for this one, there was matching numbers that make 10. And so that was like essentially this here. I had him answer these out loud, but I didn't have him write it down because I did want him to do this because I do think he needs practice on pairs that make 10. So I had him cut these out and then make them match them up. And then this just went along with the lesson that we did yesterday. It was very simple. And that's where we're at today. We have the last little worksheets for this week. We have the last worksheet for this week, and it's usually a book here. I don't think I'm gonna have him do this unless he wants to. There's more addition here, which we'll see. I'm not gonna have him do that if he doesn't want to, and then 2 other worksheets. So that's kind of how I am dealing with the worksheets. So I don't want to overload him. I don't want him to have to do too much work, and I don't want him to feel bogged down by it. So I'm kind of doing it with him. I'm kind of having him maybe do 1 or 2 sheets a day, and that seems to be enough. And yeah, so it's been working for us. So it's very exciting. Okay, so I've got everyone back sitting at the table. Melly is coloring over here. And the boys have their little toys they're gonna play with while I read. Every day this week we've read Psalm 1, and then we've read our little explanation. The 2 ways. How happy is the one who does not walk in the advice of the wicked, or stand in the pathway with sinners, or sit in the company of mockers. Instead, his delight is in the Lord's instruction. Okay, so 2 very different people are contrasted in this psalm. The righteous person and the wicked person, and they both have different ends. The righteous person expects a fruitful life following God's way. And the wicked person, well, it says that his way will perish. There is no happy ending for wickedness. The whole book of Psalms is one major contrast between praise and lament, between righteousness and wickedness, and between God's holiness and man's sinfulness. Do you remember these are the books that we used to read together? Do you want to read it together? Yeah. Do you want me to cut it out for you, or do you want to cut it out? And then we have another addition page. And then one is where, remember you used to tell me a story and I would write it down and then you would draw a picture? And then this one. Yeah, any story you want. Yeah. And then this one's talking about lines. So if you want to make, it's an art project where we you do lines on here. It's up to you if you want to do that. Do you want to cut this one out so we can read it together? Yeah. Okay, I'll get you your scissors. So Shane is over here cutting out his little book that we're going to read together. This is one of the worksheets that was in his lessons for the day. And then Riley is practicing cutting. I just printed this out as a free printable online. He likes to practice cutting, so that's what he's doing. And like I said, Millie is coloring over here. She's actually just started doing this a little bit better now, where she'll actually sit for a little bit while we do some school. And then we'll see if we get to any of these other worksheets, and then they'll probably go up and play. And then normally this is the time we would get dressed and brush our teeth. So we will brush our teeth because we didn't do that yet, and I will clean up the breakfast dishes after we're done with all of this. So here is the aftermath of just sitting for like 15 or 20 minutes. We finished up a couple of those worksheets. Shane really likes writing stories, so he did that one, and then we read our little book together. Millie played with Play-Doh after she colored. Riley did the cutting practice, and now they're playing. It's about 10 o'clock now. I'm gonna clean up this mess and our breakfast dishes. So it has been about 45 minutes. I straightened up the house again. I did the dishes, and then I was doing, I'm printing out a gather round unit for a friend. So I was working on that a little bit, and now this is like kind of the second part of homeschool. Like I said, there's 3 parts to our homeschool lately. And this is the second part where I work individually with Riley and Shani. So right now I have Riley here, he's eating his snack, and Shani and Melanie are playing together. So the way that this works is it only works because I only really sit with each boy like 10 to 15 minutes. So it's a very short amount of time that they have to actually play with the baby. Otherwise, I don't think it would go very well, but because it's a short amount of time, it works. And so I'll show you what we're working on now. So we are on lesson 8. We are doing letter D. This is the first page here. We usually just do one lesson. Occasionally he'll want to do a little bit more. I did do this with my first son up until lesson 8. Tomorrow is the first lesson that I never did with Shane. We stopped this early because it was like a supplement that I decided I didn't actually need. So I have already cut out the letters. That was the bottom half of this paper. And I also had a cutting lesson or a cutting practice for him, which is okay that he's missing out on that because like you saw, he did that earlier anyway, so it works out. So just want to throw in a little real life here for you in case you thought that I had it all together. I definitely don't. I don't have it all figured out. Melly decided today she didn't want to play with Shani. She had a meltdown and wouldn't sit with him and play with him, so that has worked like for quite a few days. But right now I have her sitting at the table with us. She's having a little pouch, so she's also not feeling well today, so that could be part of it, but we're gonna see if we could still get through our lesson. Okay, so I finished with Riley, which probably took like 10 minutes. And now I'm sitting down with Shane. We're doing the Good and the Beautiful math kindergarten. His lessons take like about 10 minutes, sometimes less, so sometimes a little more. I have Riley playing with Melanie, so she was happy to go play after she had her pouch. So we'll see how long it lasts. Just one thing to note too is that normally I don't do it quite this fast. I might give a little bit more time in between each activity, but we have our play group today, so I'm trying to make sure everything gets done so that I have a little bit of a break before we have to go out and be outside and play and see our friends. So that's why it's kind of a little bit faster than if you think like we were doing a lot in a small amount of time. That's why usually it is a bit more spaced out. So we are on lesson 86 and we're doing even and odd games. So apparently this is not my day. So we were interrupted again because Riley had an accident. So I had to go change his clothes, clean it up. And now we have Melly here again with us. She was playing fine, so we'll see if we can get through the lesson. It's almost 11:30 now, and we still have to do Shane's language arts. I might just have him practice reading with me and then do the workbook pages after playgroup if we get to them, because everything is just taking a lot longer today than it usually does. So we'll see how the rest of the day goes. No, pest.
Pest.
Pesk is not a word. Pesk is not a word. Pest is a word. So that's, but you're right, this is esk, so that's not a good one. Okay, so it's a little bit later now. That was a longer lesson than usual. Melly is eating her lunch because I'm gonna put her down for her nap afterward. It's now a little after 11:30. Shane is working on his language arts book. Again, I would usually give him a break in between this and that. Normally this would be like the third section.
Like in the pond.
Very good, okay. Very good, you're right. Just try to be a little quieter so I can talk, okay? So normally this would be like our third part of our homeschool, but because, wait, you're supposed to write P. But because things are not going as smoothly as they usually do, and because we have playgroup today at around 2:30.
After quiet time.
I'm having him do language arts right after math. Occasionally we'll do that, sometimes we won't. I was gonna have him just do his reading and then maybe do the bookwork later, but he wants to do the bookwork now, and then I'm gonna try to squeeze in the reading after quiet time just before we leave. So that's how we're trying to fit it all in and still go to playgroup. Okay guys, it is a little bit later now and it's like a little after 12:30. I'm just taking a minute in my room because it has been one of those days. I was not anticipating this today when I decided to film, but that's okay. It's real life for you, where it's just a lot of discipline going on today. The baby didn't want to go down for her nap, which is really rare. She almost never does that. So the boys are eating lunch. They're going to do quiet time afterward. And then I might sit down with Shane and do his booster cards from the Good and the Beautiful Kindergarten Language Arts. Or I might do it after we come back from playgroup. We usually go from around like 2:30 to 4-ish, depending on how everyone's doing. And the weather outside today is actually a beautiful day. It's 50 degrees in January, which is crazy where we live. So I'm looking forward to going out and having some fun with our friends and getting outside, although it is mentally taxing because I feel like I have to get everything in order throughout the whole day to make sure that it lines up so that we can go and have a good time. But it is always worth it, even if it doesn't always feel it in the moment. So yeah, that's our day. That's our new schedule that finally works. Although, I mean, I guess today was like a real test to see like it does work, because even on days where we have to be somewhere or things aren't lining up, like I could still make it work. We still got our schoolwork done. It was difficult on certain times, but it went well. So thank you for joining me. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new, and I will see you in the next one.